back to the square. I am your host, Curtis the Fifth.
And I'm Curtis the Fourth.
What a season. What a game. The more and more we get away from the game, I liked it. I had fun.
We don't share the same sentiment. Nope. As I stated.
I know you were bored.
Yeah, I told you I seen the best game of the season 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it doesn't live up to
No.
Kansas City Buffalo.
I was literally, I meant that. And I knew the next three was not going to be able to hold a candle to it. Now, with that being said, in hindsight, I'm looking back, I was right. Wasn't impressed with the other three games, really.
Yeah.
They were what they were, and that's fine, but it was just all downhill.
Taking Kansas City Buffalo out of it.
You can't.
Yes, you can, because taking the Kansas City Buffalo game out of the fact that is a better game, in itself, it was outside of the third quarter, it was a good game. It was competitive. Joe Burrow was doing his thing. Matthew Stafford was doing his thing. The defenses, actually, I was pleasantly surprised by Cincinnati. I went back. I actually rewatched the game twice. And Cincinnati's defense actually was pretty impressive outside of the two interceptions. The two interceptions were, okay, that was a Hail Mary ball that was just thrown up. Okay, you snagged one, Jesse Bates, cool. And then the second interception was Ben Skoranek, just, the hell are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
You're a wide receiver. That ball was right on the numbers. Catch the damn ball.
Yeah.
Outside of those two plays, I was pleasantly surprised by their front seven in the way, even though Trey Hendrickson was injured in that game, they came to play. They completely shut down Cam Akers like he wasn't the freshest player in all of the NFL.
No, it seemed like for each carry, it seemed like the game was just getting worse. For each carry, every time he carried the ball, it seemed like he was going, it was less yards each play to the point.
2 yards.
Could have sworn
a yard and a half.
Could have sworn he could have ran for like -6 yards. Going forward.
Would not have been surprised.
And going forward, it's. Okay, I have to say this because you keep cutting me off. I was not impressed by the game. I just wasn't.
Right.
It was a close game. People say it was a Super Bowl. It was respectable. It was a respectable Super Bowl. I've seen worse games.
Yeah.
However, this one does not rank nowhere near the top.
Oh no, I'm not saying it was I wasn't saying that it was supposed to be over the top for anybody for that matter. Just the game itself though was a good game.
However, it should have been. It's the freaking Super Bowl, and yet from the game, I'm gonna go further. Game, concerts, halftime show, commercials. It was all just
Yeah. I do agree with that.
It just seemed like, it was in LA and they, LA itself would just sell it. And that was fine. Maybe it was more of an ambiance thing.
Yeah, I think I said that to you during the game. Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, for me sitting at home, sitting on the couch and it's 16 degrees outside or whatever temperature it was, freezing outside.
It was 5.
It wasn't doing anything for me, and now personally, I had a problem watching a team that had no business being in the game.
Fair enough.
I'm sorry, Cincinnati. You respectively stayed in the game, but I don't think they earned their keep by being there. I don't. I understand they figured some kind of way how to beat the Chiefs 2 weeks prior. However, it just when it came down to it, if it was really for somebody to tell me, did the Bengals bring it? No, they didn't. They showed up and they respectfully played the game and they respectfully kept it close.
I will agree with you because I think that if we take one horribly blown play out of it, this game is 23-13 and it is a 10-point deficit. And on top of the fact, I don't know what the hell Johnny Hecker was doing on that point after. It should really be 24-13. That margin of victory, just right there on its own, was like, okay, because I really don't believe Cincinnati would be able to get any points on the board outside of their one field goal in the second half, based off of the way the Rams defense came to play in the second half. I mean, after the Ben Skoranek interception, they were 30 yards away from scoring another touchdown, and all they could get was a field goal out of that play, or out of that drive. So and that's with an incredibly short field. And I was like, okay, they go up on here 14 right now. That'll really that'll show me that they have some sort of foothold on this game at this point. Not that they would have been able to run away with it, but just that they are in command of the game at that point.
Right.
But didn't happen. They weren't able to move the ball. They weren't able to get into the end zone by any means. So I just really think that the Rams, they came out hot. They started out the game just on fire. Odell Beckham touchdown, Cooper Kupp touchdown. Odell Beckham gets injured. Things for about a quarter and a half just stalled for this team. Van Jefferson found out he had his wife was having a baby during the game, so that kind of explains why
Crazy.
he was absolutely.
Is this a real story?
He was so ineffective in the second half, and that's because his mind was clearly elsewhere.
Yeah, remember the interception in the end zone? Now we know. Now we know.
He really, because we said it during the game, it was like, this dude's not fighting for anything.
Not even trying to make an effort here.
Yeah. So I was looking at that, like, I think I said it during the game. I was like, wow, he just played himself out of another contract. Like, I was really like,
possibly, but maybe they'll give him a pass because of
Yeah.
the reasoning. I don't know, but as me and you were already discussing, he ain't quite brought it this year.
I'm gonna have to see something next year for that to be, because I mean, obviously he still does have another year on his deal, so
He does, but I mean, and then we're talking about a receiving core that we have no idea what it's supposed to look like next year. So
that is true.
I'm still saying, yeah, his career, his future is a question mark. We'll see. I think it's 50-50 at this point, really. But
Sure.
I see you seen a lot more out of the game, more redeeming qualities out of the game. You seen me. I just sat there and just watched the game.
Yeah.
I was partially bored. It was just, and to understand, I'm sorry. I'm never gonna get over this. I swear, I don't understand how they beat the Chiefs. I just don't. And with that being said, to come back and then put this kind of output, and I don't like that. It just shows me, you know what, you found a way, or you sold out enough to find a way to get past this one team and then have nothing else once it's done. You still have to play the damn Rams, and I'm sorry,
You
I
had
wasn't
2 weeks to
impressed.
prepare for this game,
And
that
very
was the thing that I
unimpressive.
was saying that I thought would definitely bode well for them, having 2 weeks to prepare.
Yeah.
To come down off of the elation of winning that overtime comeback win over Kansas City, and then to come out into the Super Bowl. Obviously, the Super Bowl is kind of it's the great equalizer. So how big and how much of a spectacle it is, definitely didn't bode well for either team, but it definitely should have helped out Cincinnati, because they literally had nothing really to prove at that point. Nobody expected them to be there. That all of the pressure was on LA to come out and win this game, and they started out hot. And then I really think Odell Beckham that injury is going to be, I mean, it was huge for the game, but I think moving forward, as that ACL tear and he recovers from that, I'm going to be interested to see how the Rams play this offseason on trying to re-sign him.
Mm-hmm.
And then how they build the offense moving forward around Matthew Stafford. I want to see what they do with the running back room, if they're going to keep with Sony Michel or not. And then also what they're going to do with Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson. Like, who are they going to be really trying to feature in this backfield, and what weapons are they going to try to really feature? Right. How are they going to implement Robert Woods back into the whole situation here? And then who are they going to replace Ben Skoranek with? Because he should be cut. But
gosh,
I mean, this entire playoffs, he's been bad. Every single game he gets targeted. It does not end well. Whether it's a drop touchdown in the end zone, a popped up ball that's right on the numbers and that turns into an interception, just horrible play by him. I have a real issue with him.
I see that. The way I'm looking at him is some journeyman that's on it to what, sixth receiver on the team. He had his 15 minutes of fame. He had his trial period, and he failed. I mean, this wouldn't be somebody I would be deeply investing in when you have the likes of the three starters that the possibility of OBJ coming back and Bobby, Robert Woods, um, and of course the Cup. But you got a project already in Vance Jefferson.
Yeah.
Do you really need another one in Ben Skoranek? Is what I'm saying his name right?
Skoranek, yeah, you got it.
But then they got this, Bryson Hopkins. You know what I'm saying? There's other players that's there to where
Bryce Hopkins came to play in this game.
and that's he's one of them Super Bowl sensations. It's always like that fourth receiver, that third running back. Those be the ones who be shining, and yeah, so there's something there. And that's why I'm even saying for Vance Jefferson, man, you might be on the chopping block here, buddy, because I mean Hopkins looked very good, and it's not so much about what you did all season. Sometimes it comes down to how you played your last game.
What do you think? They start running 2 tight end sets then to get Hopkins involved?
No, heck no. They barely run a 1 tight end.
That's what I'm saying. Because Tyler Higbee's going to come back, and that's Matthew Stafford's failsafe.
That's interesting you say that, because his numbers do not reflect that at all. But I don't think
because he don't get put into those situations as much.
I don't think he has to. He has to use a failsafe for much of the time.
I mean, you saw it in the San Francisco game early on in that game. They took away Odell Beckham and Cooper Kupp, and they were just like, God, well, what do we do?
Right.
And Tyler Higbee's there. Let's get him involved.
And that's where and Higbee's value is going to be kind of tied into Robert Woods.
Yeah.
OBJ. Because the three of them, you got those three receivers.
You forget Robert Woods is coming back. Like that's
right. It's just they're deep.
Yeah.
And so they can do whatever they want to do at this point. And I like the question is because I'm like, are they going to keep Sony Michel? Do they still run a 3 running back system? Because after what I seen with Cam, I don't know I can't make a proper assessment of Cam Akers for next year.
What I think about Cam Akers is you feature him as a starting back, because when he early on in the season before he got injured, he looked good, and during the offseason, and then he came back, and obviously he was the most well rested player, and he was still fantastic, and I was like, well, okay, we'll see how this bodes, and he played well through most of this postseason, outside of the 2 fumbles in the Tampa Bay game, and then this game here,
right,
where he was just completely shut down. Their entire run game was completely shut down. Darrell Henderson didn't do anything. I mean, he out of the backfield, he was catching passes.
His was in the passing game, which another one of them Super Bowl anomalies.
Yeah, but Sony Michel and Cam Akers were both trash running the ball, so it was just like their run game was completely obsolete in this game.
Yeah,
but what I would do if I was the Rams, I keep Cam Akers as that starting back, and I replace Sony Michel and Darrell Henderson just take those guys, turn them into one. One guy that's better than both of those guys, put him in there running 2 running back system with Cam Akers being the featured back. That's what I would do. And that would really give you the opportunity to fully evaluate Cam Akers as, can you be the guy?
Right.
We're not going to overcrowd the running backs room. There's 2 of you who are going to get starting time. We'll have another guy just in case one of you 2 get injured, but you 2 are going to be the ones running the ball, and let's see what you got. And next season, you can really make that determination on if he is going to be able to be your franchise running back.
Hey, I don't have a problem with that at all. So I'll be very. But I'm saying that to say, yeah, I'll be very interested to see what moves that the Rams make to potentially defend their title next year. I mean, granted, they got to come back next year anyway, but is that really going to be? You see some Super Bowl players that they're defending champs, but they're not defending a championship. It's just a matter of time, and they're sitting there 7th in the conference.
This next season,
this is not going to be that. But there are some questions here.
So. This next part of the season is going to be really pivotal for them because they don't have very much cap room. I don't know how many guys. I mean, they have a couple of really key guys that are going to hit free agency, Odell Beckham being one of them, and a couple of more. But how can they work that salary cap magic and re-sign some of these guys, put some money, kick the can down the road so that they can run this thing back? And what can they add? Because obviously we saw with Tampa Bay, running it back doesn't work. You have to add something to this to make that engine run next season. So
Right.
I want to see what they do there. They're going to have another first place schedule next year, so it's going to be tough. The target's going to be on their backs, but I think they got that. I think they got a lot of the weight off their shoulders by winning it this year.
Yeah.
You put a lot of pressure on yourself making the trades that you did, uh, manipulating the salary cap like you have for the last couple of seasons, and now you got that championship. All right, now you can play a little bit more loose. You can try to be a little bit more creative, Sean McVay, if you want to moving forward, to see what will work. What can we dabble our toes in to make this an even harder team to defend. So I'm very interested to see that, but I think I'm more interested to see what Cincinnati does this offseason.
Yeah.
Because even though they weren't deserving of the position that they were in based off of, well, obviously they earned it by the game, but deserving of it based off of what they did in the offseason, definitely going to be interesting to see what they do to retain the AFC North title, because AFC North is wide open. Pittsburgh's definitely not going to be too much of a player unless they make a trade for somebody. That defense is still going to be pretty stout, but offensively, you're really not worried about them. The Browns are in shambles. The Browns are going to Brown, obviously. And then the Ravens are just going to be doing whatever they can to get back to become one of the healthiest teams in the league, because they lost everybody last year. So Cincinnati has a target on their back within their division, on top of the fact that their offensive line is putrid. How many total sacks was it?
I think it's 7.
7 total sacks in this game. Yep. You can't have that. You really just cannot have that. And that's not even to mention the amount of pressures that they had on him. 18 total hits on Joe Burrow, who inevitably ended up getting injured at the end of the game. So that's the exact same. We thought it would happen much earlier in this season than it actually did, but still, it's not something that you ever want to see when they put that camera in Joe Burrow's face and he's screaming at the turf because his knee hurts, because he's getting battered around all day, and you cannot survive a full season that way. So they've got to fix the offensive line, obviously. Clearly, they have to retool their defense, because it's not the best. It definitely has some really nice cornerstone pieces on it, but there's got to be improvement there. So what do you think about Cincinnati moving forward past this game?
Well, they are going to be this year's offseason Kansas City Chiefs, because they have massive issues to fix on the offensive line.
Yeah.
That should be, priority number 1 and 2. Seriously, I'm just saying, you can't be like, oh, we got this tackle and all our problems are solved. That's not how it works. They seriously
need to
beef
sign
that up.
They need to sign 2 veterans and then draft 2 young guys, I think.
Possibly, yeah.
That's I think 4 of their total moves need to be in when I say they have to draft 2 guys, first round, second round, drafting offensive linemen.
These guys might need to be ready to go into
the
lineup, and they starts there. And as you were saying on the defense, you're gonna have to beef up that defense, because you did kind of get, kind of skated by, kind of ran under the radar to a degree.
Yeah.
Even and on the defensive end, so their defenses they have showed some type of life periodically throughout the year.
Yeah.
And came up with the big stops at certain times, and other times not so much. And they stayed kind of a middle of the road defense. However, the reason why I'm saying they need to beef up that defense is because, unlike the Chiefs, they don't have that type of firepower on the offense, per se. And I find it very hard that they can reduplicate what they did last year by the element of surprise and just come back with that same game plan next year. That's not going to work.
No, they're going to have to get somebody to replace Samaje Perine, because you have to upgrade that backup running back position.
They need to change the pace back. with that being said, I know they had Jim Bernard for years. There was the same issue with him. They have never committed to their change of pace back for whatever reason, but they actually need one.
They do.
Badly.
Because Joe Mixon played very well in this game. It just was a matter of, okay, when Samaje Perine came in, they literally could not move the ball with
That's what I was
Samaje
getting at.
Perine
Like,
in.
if it ain't Joe Mixon even running the ball, even if it was, a carry for 2 yards, it's nothing.
I mean, even Chicago with no offensive line had David Montgomery, who could move the ball, keep you ahead of the chains all day long, and then you have Khalil Herbert coming right behind him, and boom, can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can run up the middle. He can do the outside zone. Doesn't matter where he was being put. He could play that role, and it was like, okay, well, you still have to keep him honest. You still have to play him honest, because if you don't, you're going to get burned. And he definitely showed people early on this season, even when David Montgomery went down, Khalil Herbert came in and was just like, gee, well, what do we do with that guy? It's just another question mark. So if Cincinnati can do that with a guy like Joe Burrow in the back under center, and then get a freaking center and the rest of the offensive line built up and protect him, that's a scary team in the AFC as a whole, but it's specifically in the AFC North, because really the only team that if I'm Cincinnati, the only team that I'm really scared of in the AFC North is Baltimore, because they're going to get all their guys back. They're going to get fully healthy, and they're going to be pissed because they got beat twice by Cincinnati last year, and both times they got beat handedly. It wasn't even a question if Cincinnati was going to win that game by halftime. So they really have. I think there's a massive target on their back, and they're going, if they want to defend this title and actually be a team that's perpetually in the playoffs, and not be a one-hit wonder, you have to spend money this offseason. You can't be cheap. Go get guys and replace Tyler Boyd, because he's not it.
He's
not it in that wide receiver room. I think he'd be fine elsewhere.
No, his window is kind of past. I mean, he was still supposed to be that number 2 to AJ Green years ago, and then he became kind of the default number 1 because of AJ Green's
injury history,
medical history, exactly. And now Tyler Boyd is just kind of like, okay, now with Jamar Chase and T Higgins, it's just kind of like, man, he's like a distant third. You would think he would have still had that number 2 quality type, flair to bring to the game, and it's not.
He regressed.
It's not really there. Yes, he regressed big time. Which now they're trying to promote the CJ Uzama, and which is kind of funny because 8 weeks ago couldn't nobody even say his last name. But 2 for 11. Exactly what I thought he was gonna do. He just wanted to play in the game, and that was fine. I don't
remember him catching a single pass in this game. I remember
one of them.
I remember him getting thrown the ball, but he dropped it.
No, he didn't drop it.
He caught both of it?
He had 2 targets.
Oh, that one other one must have been like...
He just sailed probably past him or something. I mean, but he was not... He blocked a few... I mean, I figured he was going to be a part of the blocking scheme. He was going to be a decoy for the most part. As far as the reads and regressions, he was the 3rd, 4th, 5th option on the reads anyway. It was just one of those. I knew he wasn't going to be the center of attention unless for some kind of way momentum swung. And
wait a minute, he was 5 for 48.
What? 48. No, you're talking about Boyd.
You're talking about. I was talking about Boyd. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
That's my
doesn't
fault.
matter. Doesn't matter. Boyd just showed his flash. He flashed here. He flashed there. He flashed over here. He flashed over there. But when it was all said and done, it did not accumulate anything. It didn't move the change. It did not put any impact on Rams defense. Nothing. It was just all right. So that's another thing. Yeah, like you said, they're gonna need another. They're definitely gonna need more receivers. Another receiver. I mean, it's Mike Thomas. No, he's a miss.
I don't think they need a guy like Mike Thomas.
No.
I don't think they need to go get a big name. I just think I literally think that you just need to replace Tyler Boyd.
You're misunderstanding me. I ain't say Michael Thomas. I said Mike Thomas. He's already plays on the team.
Oh, my
He's
bad.
that number 4.
My bad.
That guy, the other guy. Big Mike.
See what you're saying. My bad, Mike
Thomas is not going to be the guy. Michael Thomas could help them, but
I don't think Michael Thomas could help them.
You don't think so? It's a whole other conversation. I don't even
Yeah.
care. I wasn't even talking about him. So, with that being said, yeah, and Mike Thomas is he the next guy to step up?
Yeah. I don't think so. Like I said, they need to. You can keep Mike Thomas as the number 4 guy. That's perfectly fine. They need to replace the number 3. I think Tyler. I honestly just think Tyler Boyd is checked out at Cincinnati since now he's been passed up by 2 guys. Because T. Higgins came in 2 years ago, blew up, was the talk of the town, and then Jamar Chase came in and just blew everything out of the water, and now he's the number 1, and T. Higgins is the number 2, and now Tyler Boyd was like, well, I was the number 1 for just literally like 3 seconds.
In fairness, I have to compare the Jamar Chase, T. Higgins to the OBJ and Jarvis Landry. It's like a 1A to a 1B situation.
Fair. Yeah, I would agree.
Because I know T. Higgins ain't actually got the name, but Landry didn't have it either. But Landry played a lot more years.
Landry got the name in Cleveland, though, because he was the guy.
Right. He was for a year. What, a year and a half?
A year. Because when, a year and a half. Because when Odell Beckham went down with that ACL tear, it was just like, well, now Jarvis Landry's going to go up into obscurity. No, he was one of the top 5 wide receivers that year. I was just like, well,
right,
damn, where did this come from?
And T. Higgins has that kind of quality.
Yeah.
It's just he hasn't been around long enough, and a lot of
2 years.
country has not warmed up to this guy just yet. And I'm like, but anyway, they definitely can need some help. Backup, a number 2 running back, a number 3 wide receiver, offensive line, beef up the defense. It just.
And they've got money to play with. Like it's not a question of, oh, okay, how can we finagle this? It's just like, no, let's go out and spend a little bit of money this year.
Right.
Let's use at least half of the allotted cap space that we have this year. Let's stop trying to do it on the cheap. Let's stop trying to do it through the draft, because obviously outside of Joe Burrow, we can't freaking draft. Like, and sorry, Jamar Chase. Yes, you as well. I'll own it. I was wrong. Jamar Chase does fit this team. He was able to fight. And I think Zach Taylor deserves a lot of credit for having that offensive scheme be so quick that it did sort of eliminate that imaginary offensive line that they had out there.
Right.
So I do want to give him credit there. And Joe Burrow as well for being able to adapt and get the ball out quickly. The funny thing is that he had probably one of the quickest release times in all of the NFL, but it never looked like he was shaky or anything like that, or he was worried about it. It was just like, no, well, we know what the play is. Get it out there, quick dump off there, nice little 3-yard slant there, and then whenever he did get 2, 3, 4 seconds in the pocket, big play to Jamar Chase. So it was kind of deflating for defenses, I think, this season to go up against him, where you couldn't rattle Joe Burrow, even though he was getting hit the most out of anybody in league history. And then on top of that, once you were deflated a little bit and you slowed down your rush a little bit and you gave him some time, boom, Jamar Chase was scoring a touchdown. I was like, how do we defend that?
Right.
But to your point, to that end, next season, I don't expect that to be the case, because first of all, they're going to have a first place schedule next year. And then on top of that, again, the target is going to be on their back because you won the AFC. You knocked off Goliath there in Kansas City. And that people are going to have something to say about that. So I think it's not that it's going to be impossible for them to win their division again, or to be in the mix of Super Bowl contenders next year. If they do the right thing this offseason, I definitely will be excited for next season to watch what they do. But they do have to keep in mind that it's going to be infinitely harder next season for them. This is not one of those things where you can just expect to run it back and be okay.
No, I agree. And now, like you, I'll be very interested to see what they do in the offseason. I mean, we talked about this team quite a bit this year in various ways.
Even throughout the regular season.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I'm referring to that.
Yeah.
Like, we, from the very beginning of last season, the offseason, we were very high on talking about them from the draft all the way on, and
we definitely talked about them during the draft.
I still don't think they, granted, they didn't necessarily make the wrong decision, but they obviously and ultimately got burned where? On the offensive line.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe how they masquerade that up until the last 2 weeks. their season.
Like I said, props to Zach Taylor. He looked at the cards that were dealt to him, and he made it work somehow.
He maximized it to the fullest. Kind of made us look foolish, but
A little
at the end of
bit.
the day,
But it's still what I wouldn't even say that we're foolish for it, because at the end of the day, all prognosticators are saying this: fix the damn offensive line. Because Joe Burrow with 4 seconds in the pocket on average next season, my God, what is that? He's going to be breaking records if that's the case.
right?
Like, come on. And again, he's on a rookie deal. This is the time to go build around him. You have all the money to play with for the next 2 years.
Right, because when his contract is up,
he's gonna get broken off.
Exactly, and then all of a sudden you're waiving half your team because you need your franchise cornerstone in there.
Yeah.
So this is the time, and they are. I would at least say they are 1 year ahead of the schedule because. For the life of me, I don't know, not understand how they got to the Super Bowl. But with that being said, congrats to them. That was an addressing, the dire addressing needs that they need to deal with. So in the draft, they need to, get busy. Like, seriously.
Well, quickly, before we get too far ahead of what's going to happen this offseason, let's go back to the Super Bowl itself. We went through some prop bets, and funny thing is, even though we differed on about 7 different prop bets, we both went 12-8 on our picks for the prop bets last week. Coin toss, heads versus tail. It was heads. I got that one. We both were correct on the on what would happen first, sack or touchdown. Sack happened because obviously Cincinnati does not have an offensive line.
Nope.
Will the game be tied? No versus yes. I got that one right. Matthew Stafford over under on his passing yards. It was at 280.5 at the time. Got that one. You took the under on that one. That was
What did I miss about like a few yards?
He got over it. Yeah, 3 yards to.
It was a
2.5 yards
disparity. Yeah. I mean, you know what?
I did say he was going to get over 300, and I was wrong about that.
Even when my wrongs are like rights anyway. So it's all.
I mean, here's one that you definitely got right that I missed on. Receptions by Odell Beckham. You went under, I went over. He didn't play the full game.
I knew he would get injured.
Longest reception for Cooper Kupp, under 28.5. You got that one right. Highest scoring quarter. We both tied on that one with the second and third quarter. Things like that. It was fun. I was having fun watching the prop bets. Unfortunately, this one over here couldn't make prop bets over on MyBookie. I'm gonna remount MyBookie for a second here. You have the Super Bowl. Get your stuff together so that people can make bets on Super Sunday.
I was trying to just give my money away, and you wouldn't even take it. Now, how many other people on Super Bowl Sunday was just trying to give their money away?
Oh, my God.
They just shut the door, locked
it was
the
funny because I made a bet 2 hours before kickoff, about 3 hours before kickoff, right before you came over to watch the game. And then you get here, I'm upstairs making chili, and then all of a sudden I come down and you're trying to make the bet, and it literally will not allow you to place money on prop bets during the game. So I got to say, MyBookie, you got to be better. Or, hey, Minnesota, legalize sports betting because I want to make some bets. And FanDuel is definitely a much better app.
And playing squares just don't get
it
alone by itself. I'm so sorry.
No. But I made a few bets, lost them all. Took the spread on the LA Rams, just $25, put that up there to get that win. I had him at -4.5. Obviously, that didn't hit at a 23-20 game.
Right.
Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, all non-passing touchdowns. Anytime touchdown scores that are non-passing.
Mm-hmm.
Hit on 2 of them. Joe Mixon decided to throw a touchdown pass, and then Jamar Chase, out of all the people to not score a touchdown for Cincinnati, it was Jamar Chase. Yeah, you were big on T. Higgins, and he got 2, so you got that one right there.
One in a questionable.
Yeah, not a questionable. That one was clearly not a touchdown.
One in a possible.
One in a
for you, Spades. Yeah, one in a possible. Possible what? Possibly did not get that call right.
T. Higgins is out here throwing out bags.
Ridiculous.
No. And then I had another one over on Matthew Stafford's rushing yards. That hit. Over on Joe Burrow's rushing yards. That did not hit. Over on Cooper Kupp's receptions. That did not hit. And over on Samaje Perine.
How close did you get to the Cooper Kupp thing?
I was a half a reception away from the Cooper Kupp thing.
So if he would have caught it with one hand, would that have counted?
No, it pisses me off. No, he basically caught the ball 3 times on the game-winning drive.
Mm-hmm.
And or 3 once he had 8 to get into the end zone. That would have been the 8th one.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the last touchdown where he 1-on-1 over there got it. And that was his 8th, but 2 other times he caught the ball. One in the back of the end zone where he took that huge hit where I was like, oh, he definitely has a concussion.
Right.
And then the other one in the front of the end zone when there was defensive holding, he caught that one too. He caught 3 times on that last drive, and they did not, none of them count.
No.
Except for that one against Eli Apple at the end there. So
that was one of those ones everybody in the country missed on this one, and
so that one was the most frustrating.
I think Vegas got involved there. So they just was not having it. I'm just saying, usually in the game, why didn't he get the game?
I think Vegas got involved on the Joe Burrow rushing.
No, I think they got involved in the Chiefs game actually. But let's go ahead.
Let's let that one go.
I'm never gonna let that go.
No, but that was basically it. We wanted to give LA their props. I wanted to give an I told you so to everybody from the beginning of the season, doubting the LA Rams and what that team built. But overall, great season by both teams. Obviously, LA goes home with the hardware, and Cincinnati goes home with some hurt feelings and some work to do. So,
and this is their first title in their 71-year history. I'm not excluding the St. Louis one. That's because it was in St. Louis, but actually the win in LA.
The LA's first title. Yeah.
From the Rams. So, the Raiders got one, and LA got one, and Rams got one.
Nice.
All right, Chargers, you're up.
They've got some work to do too.